For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lauren, and I am the nutritionist at the Attleboro YMCA. I have been a nutritionist for 6 years now, 7 years, six or 7 years. And what I do at the Y, I do a lot of one-on-one nutrition consults. I work with our 90-day program participants, which is our healthy lifestyle program. And I just help people live healthier and happier lives. So today, our topic is healthy aging, nutrition for healthy aging. And I want to use this time to answer any questions you guys have. I hope you bring me questions. And we'll talk about how you can support a healthy lifestyle through nutrition. And then there's lots of other factors that goes into healthy aging, as well as sleep, stress reduction, exercise, the things that we hear all the time. But the first thing that we'll get into is nutrition. And you guys, at any point you have questions, just shout on out. We have a small, intimate group here, so we can use this time to get some knowledge and just ask any questions. Because if you're thinking of a question, someone else might be thinking of that question as well, so don't hesitate to ask. So the first thing that we're going to look at is this sheet here. This is our tip sheet here for nutrition and healthy aging. So when you guys think about nutrition, what are the common, we're always seeing so much about nutrition and healthy aging on social media, on the TV. What are the common topics that you hear often when it comes to nutrition and healthy aging? Low carbs, okay. Anything else that you guys hear often about nutrition and healthy aging? On the news?
Eating lots of vegetables.
Yes. I always sound like a broken record with the vegetables, and you know that I am very much into, and I really strongly believe if you're eating a lot of color, a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're doing your body a lot of good. You're going to fill up on the good stuff. Those foods are so high in fiber, vitamins, and minerals. They're high in water content, and they're so low in calories. So the recommendation is to make about half your plate fruits and vegetables whenever possible. So think about your daily eating habits and how many fruits and vegetables you're eating on a regular basis. Are you making half your plate fruits and vegetables at breakfast, lunch, and dinner? If so, that's great. And a really great question that I hear a lot is, well, what's the best type of fruits and veggies? Is it fresh? Is it frozen? Is it canned? And my answer to that is you want to get the most variety as you can, because all different colors offer different nutrients. So for instance, an orange is going to offer a different nutrient profile than an apple. 2 different colors there. So the more variety you get, the more nutrients you're going to get. So what do you guys think about fresh, frozen, canned? What do you lean towards?
So I aim for fresh first.
Okay.
And then frozen. I never use canned.
Never use canned. Okay. That makes sense. Anyone else?
I'll take whatever cooks quick.
Easy? Yep, quick and easy. Absolutely.
Cook. I enjoy eating like a mad woman, but I have to stop that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Because I need to find foods that are enjoyable, simple to cook, and definitely tasty.
Absolutely.
Teach me, ladies.
Well, I think we have some good tips coming your way. What do you guys think? Fresh, frozen?
Well, I told you, I use cans, but I've gone to frozen.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's great. That's a great switch from canned to frozen. So a lot of times we often think of frozen not being a great thing, but the frozen produce tends to be a bit cheaper than fresh produce, if you guys have noticed that in the grocery store. And what happens with the frozen produce, say strawberries for instance, those strawberries are picked at their peak. So, and then they're frozen immediately. And as long as that frozen fruit or the frozen vegetable isn't doused in, or the ingredients don't say an oil or a sauce or any added ingredients. It's just that whatever that fruit and vegetable is, it's a great option. So don't be afraid to shop in the frozen section. I think it's a really healthy, cost-effective way to eat more fruits and vegetables, which, if that's the one takeaway from today, for you to eat more fruits and vegetables, I would be happy with that. So don't stray away from the frozen. Just make sure you're looking at the ingredients and you see, that they're not adding any spice, or spices are okay sometimes, but any sauces or sugar. Yeah, we don't want any of that. We don't need any added ingredients like that, but nothing wrong with the frozen. So I hope you guys, I love, oftentimes I'll see like a stir fry mix, which I think makes life a little bit easier when you need a quick healthy dinner. A frozen stir fry mix that has mushrooms, bell peppers, pea pods. You can just saute that on the stovetop with a little olive oil, maybe pair that with a protein source. If you're short on time, you could do a rotisserie chicken without the skin, and you have yourself a healthy meal that has veggies and protein under 10 minutes. So don't be afraid to shop in that section. So that was our first tip here, was vary your veggies. More color, the better. When we were younger, we probably heard many, many times, you should eat a rainbow every day. And it's such simple nutrition advice that we give kids, but it's something that I think as adults, we should also try to remember. Did we eat something red, orange, green, purple? I know that's hard to do every day, but it's one of the best insurance policies when it comes to your health and nutrition. How do you guys feel like you do with that? Do you guys feel like you do a good job with that? Good. And if you don't, then I say start small. If you can incorporate one more serving of fruits and veggies into your diet a day, that's a great place to start. It doesn't have to be all or nothing with nutrition. You don't have to give your diet, change everything. Start small and continue to make gradual changes, and you'll see a big result. Yes?
I'm a diabetic, okay?
Yes.
So I'm learning the hard way. I need to understand I'm not a big fruit eater because I'm scared of sugar, but at the same token, I still sneak sugar, but not through fruit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, how do I decide what sweet items to truly run away from and those that may not hurt me as much?
Okay.
Meaning, if I'm going to be a thief about stealing sugar, then let me steal something that won't knock me out right away.
Absolutely. So you said it yourself with the fruit. We know that fruit has sugar. Fruit is high in sugar. But with that, you're also going to get so much fiber, which we all need fiber. As women, we need about 30 grams of fiber every day. Most people don't even get close to that. So with the fruit, yes, we're going to get sugar, but you're going to get a lot of fiber. You're going to get vitamins and minerals. And if you think about where the fruit is coming from, it's a food in its whole source, as opposed to something that's from the middle of the grocery store, that's packaged and it's been processed and it has a whole bunch of added ingredients.
Right.
It's not very nutrient dense. So it might be a tasty treat, but you want to limit that tasty treat because it's going to give you a lot of calories, a lot of sugar, and not a lot of fiber and nutrition that we know is a good thing. So I would say choose the fruit, incorporate fruit into your diet so you do get the benefit of the fiber and all the nutrition, but it's still sweet, so you can satisfy your sweet tooth that way, but you're going to get a lot of great things from that. Does that answer that? Kind of. Fruit is a good thing. And if you are worried about with the diabetes, like blood sugar spiking, a great thing to do is to incorporate something that's high in sugar with something that's high in protein. So if you have an apple, for instance, maybe having a handful of almonds with that. Almonds are high in protein. You don't like almonds. Okay. Maybe peanut butter. That's okay.
I'm trying to find foods that are agreeable
That
I can
tastes
eat
good.
them without feeling like I'm sacrificing myself to a plate.
Absolutely. What about peanut butter?
Hmm?
Do you like peanut butter?
Peanut butter's okay.
Okay, maybe you do an apple with peanut butter,
Okay.
or let's see, what else? You could even do an apple with like a cheese stick. Do you like cheese
The
sticks?
cheese and apple, I'm not crazy about apples, though. I like pears.
Okay, pair
I
with a
don't
cheese
like
stick.
apples.
Okay, that's okay. There is a variety of fruits and vegetables
Okay.
out there. You want to try to get the most variety, but you also want to choose foods that you're enjoying. You never want to, I don't like when people eat foods for the sake of eating it just because it's healthy. Food should bring us joy. It's one of life's greatest gifts, if you ask me.
It's the last gift we women have.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want freedom in my eating.
And I think that's totally reasonable to want
So I
freedom.
just have to find a protein to complement the fruit.
You got it. That will help balance and stabilize blood sugar. Great question. I could go on about fruits and vegetables all day, but we won't. You guys get the picture with that. The more fruits and vegetables you're eating, the better off you're going to be. Really try every day to make half your plate fruits and vegetables. Think about ways that you can incorporate more color into your diet. For instance, if you're having eggs for breakfast, how can we spice that up to add more color?
We do a fruit pop at my house.
Excellent. Great way to add color and nutrition to the breakfast. Another option, maybe you're doing like scrambled eggs, maybe you saute up some spinach or bell peppers or mushrooms to add color to that meal.
I love vegetables.
Good.
I have no problem with vegetables. Bring it on. I don't care how you fix it. Whether you saute it, you boil it, throw it in with something. Vegetables is easy for me.
It's the fruit.
The fruit or sugar, I gotta find my balance.
Maybe think about having fruit and that protein source as like an afternoon snack or a mid-morning snack. If most of your meals you're getting a good amount of vegetables at your meals, maybe think about fruit as a snack with that protein source. So think about ways every single day, how can I make these meals that I'm already eating, what can I add to these meals to make them more nutritious? Instead of thinking about what you can't eat, think about what you can add to make them more nutritious. The answer to that question is always going to be color. You can always add color to make these more nutritious. So moving on to tip number 2 here is staying hydrated. So our topic today is nutrition and healthy aging, and a lot of times I'll hear that people they're not thirsty. They forget to drink water because the feeling of thirst has decreased a bit. Which it's hard. That's so hard. If you're not feeling thirsty, it's hard to stay hydrated. So if you can, carry a water bottle with you wherever you go. Try to drink those 8 glasses of water a day. It is so important to drink enough fluids and to stay hydrated. Often we are not realizing that we might feel fatigued or a lack of energy later in the day, and that might be because we just haven't consumed enough water. Yeah, I find like around the 3 to 4 o'clock hour, sometimes I'll be feeling like a little crash, like I need sugar at that time. Does anyone else feel like they need like sugar or caffeine around 3 to 4 p.m.? Sometimes when I'm feeling that way, it's because I realized I hadn't had enough water to drink. So drinking enough water is crucial for staying healthy. It kind of keeps everything moving, and so it's really good for your digestive system, and it's really good for fighting fatigue. If you're feeling fatigued at the later end of your day, it could be definitely due to hydration. We want to try to stay away from or limit the sugar-sweetened beverages, so even things like iced tea that are sweetened with sugar, or juices and sodas. We know that we're not going to get a lot of nutrition from those things, really any nutrition, and we're going to get a lot of empty calories. So do your best to stay hydrated, drink water. My tip is to have a straw. If I carry my water bottle with me and I have a straw here, I just tend to drink more.
Water's boring. And we women, as we get older, because I'm learning this, I've never been around women who age. Nobody in my family seems to want to live long. But anyhow, the bottom line is I'm the first of my particular generation who's aging. And I outlived my mother already. And
Wow.
hopefully, and my father. Hopefully I'll outlive my grandmother. But the whole thing of it is that you say drink a lot of water. Well, water goes in and it's got to come out. And we don't want to be parking everywhere we go. We go do something, next thing you know, we got to look for the nearest
I
seat.
know.
And with that being said, that's difficult. But the other thing, like I said initially, water is boring. So my thing is, I have nothing against water. I stick bottles all over my house just to remind me to drink it, because if I don't see it, it's not going to get done.
Out of
I don't know
sight,
what
out
I
of
mean.
mind.
It's just
Yeah.
not going to get done. Because we don't, like I said, finding the seat is an inconvenience sometimes. Because as we get older, something, the plumbing just wants to do what it wants to do. Now, with that being said, outside of water, in and of itself, what other drink, what other drink would be recommended alongside of like a complement? So if I get bored with that water, I'll drink something else and still get that.
Hydration?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I know soda's a no-go show. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay? And even though I like to steal a little sugar, I'm not a sugar person, I'm more salt. But I gotta be careful, that's another story. But with that, learning how to age and do the things that you're stating, that helps us because we do not feel thirsty. I know I do. Okay? And not feeling thirsty is one of the reasons why I don't consume. But it's like, not having an alternative. Can't drink coffee all day long. Those days gotta go. Okay? So I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning. In the afternoon, just because I'm bored to death and I want something to drink, I may drink a cup of tea.
Okay.
Is all tea good or not?
Yeah, yeah. 1 cup of tea is certainly not a bad thing. I always do like to remind people it's what goes into your coffee and your tea. If you're not drinking an abundance of coffee and tea, like 1 to 2 cups, even 3 cups a day, if you're doing a splash of milk, that's okay, as long as you're not, dousing, putting a lot of sugar in there. But did you have a question?
I was just going to add on to this, what do you think of Truvia? I mean, I was going to suggest decaffeinated chai tea because it has a
Chai tea?
chai tea because it has like a sweet
Yeah.
spiciness to
I
it.
got every kind of tea you can name in my
Yeah,
house,
chai.
just to keep me from being bored to death with water.
Decaf chai tea.
So I thought it was a psychological thing.
Yeah, Truvia.
So it's not like the other sweeteners, it's supposed to be natural.
Yeah, it's plant derived, so it's coming from a plant as opposed to like Splenda, which is aspartame, which is produced in a facility, not natural, not a great thing. We don't really have a lot of studies that show the long-term effects of drinking something like Splenda every day, but I think we can conclude that it's not a healthy thing. With Truvia, I think it's certainly a better option. Truvia and stevia, both are the plant-derived sweeteners. I think they're certainly better than the aspartame. I wouldn't recommend getting into a habit of eating a lot of it, just because we don't know, we don't have a lot of research to say what will happen if we consume a lot of it. I would say it tends to be a bit sweeter than real sugar. And I might even encourage you to have real sugar in smaller amounts. We've had this conversation. I think it's important to choose the real food as opposed, for instance, butter. Have real butter as opposed to margarine on a consistent basis if that's something you're eating often. Butter is made with real wholesome ingredients as opposed to, have you ever looked at the ingredients on margarine? It's super long, it has ingredients that we can't pronounce. I think it's more satisfying for a lot of people, and everyone's different, to have the real thing, so I feel this way about sugar, in smaller amounts.
Okay, speaking of white sugar, brown sugar, honey, are they equal?
They're all in the same ballpark. Honey local raw honey will offer nutrition. It can help, it has antioxidants. It can help allergies. If you're choosing a local honey, it's still processed the same way in our body because sugar is sugar. It all comes down to how much and how often we're having these things. I'm sure none of us are eating tablespoon after tablespoon of sugar or putting all that sugar in our coffee every day. But it's certainly something we want to be mindful of. Added sugar, we know we shouldn't have more than about 7 teaspoons of added sugar a day for women is the recommendation. But when you think about, teaspoons of sugar, you're probably not cooking with sugar or whatever you're doing with it, but if it's in a lot of processed packaged foods. So that's where we have to watch out when we're looking at the nutrition facts label and we see that sugar is added to something. When a lot of processed foods, it will add up over time, if that makes sense. So back to that, that's a great question. I think it's better than Sweet and Low and Splenda, but I might suggest the real thing in smaller amounts. And then back to the hydration question too. If you need to switch things up a little bit, you're bored of water, it's not cutting it for you, you want to spice things up a little bit, I would maybe recommend seltzer water. Do you like seltzer, the bubbles? No, not a fan. I love seltzer water. I love the bubbles. I think it kind of gives me an afternoon treat.
Make me want to go get a Jack Daniels.
Oh, okay. So maybe you can try to infuse your water. Maybe like fresh lemon. Maybe you add strawberries. You can add something natural that will. Add fruit. Yeah.
I can try it.
You can try it. It's worth a try. It gives it a little bit of flavor without any added ingredients. So stay hydrated. Try to drink your water. A straw goes a long way. All right, so number 3 here, choosing nutrient-dense foods. So we've talked about this already. Processed packaged foods that we find in the middle of the grocery store. When you guys visualize the grocery store, what's in the middle and what's around the perimeter?
Everything you ain't supposed to eat.
Is in the middle?
Cereal, macaroni, pasta for days. Let me see what else. We got cereal in this aisle, pasta in this aisle, bread in this aisle.
And then what's around the perimeter?
You'll see meat, fruit, and junk, ice cream, frozen goodies.
Yeah, sometimes
French fries. Oh, honey, I got these stores down good. Right?
Dairy.
Butter,
Yes.
cheese, and eggs.
Exactly.
Sound like a store?
So we typically find the departments like produce, meat, seafood, dairy, eggs, all the good stuff around the perimeter. I'm sure you guys have heard that tip before, shop the perimeter. And I will say that there's definitely some okay things you can find in the middle of the grocery store. Oatmeal, whole grain bread, whole grain pasta. There's some good things in the
That's why
middle.
they don't use the word whole.
Mustard and all that.
Yeah, the condiments, but the majority of the good stuff is found along the perimeter. And those are foods that are going to be nutrient dense, meaning packed with the nutrition that your body needs in order to thrive and function at its best. If we can really limit those foods that are highly processed, what's an example of a highly processed food?
Cookies.
Cookies, yep, chips, pastries, things along those lines. Not to say there's no room in our diet for those things, because you have to, nothing is completely off limits, because I think that mindset isn't a healthy mindset. But if the majority, 80% of what you're eating is healthy, wholesome food in its unprocessed form, like that perimeter, you're giving your body what it needs to thrive and do its best. Those are nutrient-dense foods, as opposed to the middle, where you find calorie-dense foods, foods that are super high in calories and lack nutrition. We know that when you're getting fiber, vitamin C, iron, protein, you're doing your body good. You're helping your body thrive, function best. If you're exercising, you'll feel better when you're eating healthy, wholesome foods as opposed to those processed foods. So tip number 4 here, trying to prevent muscle loss. After age 50, our muscles they're just not as strong, and it's harder for us to gain muscle mass. So focusing on the nutrients that help us build muscle and help us have strong bones are really important. Do you guys know what those nutrients are? So calcium, Calcium is very, very important for strong bones. So foods that you can find a lot of calcium in are dairy foods usually, and leafy greens. So yogurt, cheese, you don't want too much of those things. The recommendation is about like 1 to 3 servings of dairy a day. Leafy greens are an awesome source. Fortified orange juice sometimes might have calcium and vitamin D, but these are really important nutrients as we age and as our muscles and our bones are just not as strong. We want to support that. And a good way to support that in addition to nutrition is, anyone know? Exercise, yes. And not just any type of exercise. It's a bad word. It's not a bad word if you find exercise that you enjoy. That's the key. If you go to the Y, if you find a class that you really like, whether it's a Zumba class or a strength training class, that's really the secret on how you can keep up with it in the long term. If you say, oh, I really, really got to exercise. I think I'm going to go to spin class 5 times a week. And then you hate spin class, it's not going to be sustainable. You deserve to look forward to the exercise that you're doing every day. So you really have to try different things, try different types of exercise, and find something that brings you joy. Exercise doesn't have to be all or nothing. It could simply be a walk around the neighborhood a few times a week to start off. Maybe then from there, you get into a good routine with that, you add some stretching in. But one of the best things you can do as we get older and as we think about muscle mass and bone mass is strength training. Anyone ever do a strength training class or practice that in the gym? Yeah, that's really a good thing to do. If you can do that 2 to 3 times a week, squats and bicep curls, anything where you're using your body weight or you're using free weights is very, very good. And then you want to think about protein. Your protein sources. Having the right amount of protein helps rebuild muscle tissue, helps to keep you fuller for longer. It gives your body the nutrients that you need. So I like to recommend having a protein source. Remember what I said about making half your plate fruits and vegetables? You also want to make sure you have a protein source at every meal. So what are some good examples of protein? Meat? Yeah.
I could say meat in any form.
You got it? Almonds?
But I like meat and I like fish.
Fish is excellent.
I don't like to cook. Somebody like to cook, I have to go to their house. But other than that, I do cook, but I don't like it. That's probably my biggest problem.
Finding easy, healthy.
I need a chef.
Me too.
Anyway,
I need a chef.
that protein, I don't have a problem with protein.
Good. You have a protein source at every meal?
I'm sorry?
A protein source at every meal?
I just had a lamb shank last night. You gotcha? I felt like Flintstone. But yeah, protein at every meal.
Good.
I do the protein, like the vegetables. I'm not crazy about fruit, so that's almost a force feeding. When I say sugar, I mean every now and again, I think the older you get, so many things are taken away. You can't do this, you can't do this, whatever. And us women, at least I can speak for 80% of us, we like chocolate. You get to be a diabetic and chocolate is like, oh, that's a no-no. Excuse me, I want a piece, just a little piece. Okay?
I
so
know.
It's just, I don't abuse it, but I do every now and again. And like I said, I'm not big on sugar. So protein is good, but is there any special way, or can you do it just any old way?
Yeah, great question. So I like to encourage people to think about plant-based sources of protein. So things like black beans, lentils, whole grains have a good amount of protein in them. And then when we're thinking about meat, certainly how we prepare the meat will affect how nutritious it is. So I love the air fryer idea. We were talking about that. That is a great way.
My daughter's cooked out in the air fryer.
Good. That's a really good way
She
to.
mastered that devil.
And it might be good for you too because you want quick, easy, healthy, tastes good.
Well, I resisted the idea of the air fryer for a long time because it has fry in the name of it. And I thought, like a lot of people probably think that, that it's fried chicken, French fries, and stuff like that. And then a friend of mine said, oh no, I cook my salmon in it. Well, then I started to look up what you can do, and it's such an easy way to make things, without breading and,
And it's natural.
it's really, it's a convection oven, it's a small convection oven.
That's all it is.
That's all it is, yeah.
Because she mastered that thing. I mean, that girl puts almost anything in the air fryer.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, because I like these little teeny little lamb chops,
Yeah.
the little ones, girl, throw that in the air fryer, off the chain.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing to that little piece of meat. Just throw it in the air fryer, and it's done.
I
That's
think
where they
So
gonna eat it.
easy, yeah.
we all need more of that, like easy, quick, healthy
You don't have to put nothing
solutions.
on it. Like sometimes you want to throw every kind of seasoning on something and you kill it. No, you don't. Just stick that joker in there. She does breakfast sausages. She does chicken, boneless, bone in. She don't care what it is. And somehow she got that mental ability to time it just right. That's key. Just timing it just right.
Well, they have books to tell you how to time it.
It's a beautiful thing. I have to work on it because I'm still stuck on oven.
It is an oven.
And I
Just
know,
think of
but
it
that's
as
my
it's
brain
not
ain't
gonna-
thinking.
It's
I
not gonna
automatically
heat up
open
your,
the oven.
yeah, it's not gonna heat up your house in the
Yeah,
summer.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
guess that's
It's a small oven, so.
Well,
I think that's a
I'm
great
gonna work more
solution.
on that because I'm telling you, some things that come out that air fryer is off the chain good.
Yeah.
For a person who don't like to cook like me.
I think you need to invest in an air fryer.
And it's quick.
It's quick.
Quicker than the oven, yeah.
Mhm.
A regular oven, it's quicker.
Okay, I'm gonna trust that one. I practice more.
There you
Grab
go.
some stuff and maybe the next time I come, I'll tell you a good story.
I would love that. So if you don't have an air fryer, although I think it's a great invention for all of us, thinking about maybe broiling, roasting, steaming, those are all healthy cooking methods as opposed to like frying. We don't want, in the air fryer it's a bit different, but you're more likely to get a nutritious piece of protein if you cook using one of those methods. But I really do like to encourage you to think about plant-based sources of protein. Do you guys like any plant-based sources of protein? And I'm not really talking about, in the grocery store you'll see like vegan sausages. Not really a fan of those. If you're a vegan, that's another conversation. But a lot of times those will be very, very processed and have a really long ingredient list. But the plant-based sources of protein that I'm talking about are things like quinoa, beans, lentils, peas, whole grains. And I love these things because not only are they a great source of protein, but you're going to get all the benefits, or a lot of the benefits that you're getting from fruits and vegetables, all that fiber, all of those vitamins and minerals, as opposed to animal sources of protein. You're going to get protein, you're going to get vitamins and minerals, you're not going to get any fiber, which is okay. There's a time and place for all foods. But if you can incorporate more plant-based sources of protein into your diet, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Because beans, excellent. Beans and rice, black beans and rice together, a great source of protein. It has all the amino acids your body needs. It tastes good. You can add some good spices, maybe add some roasted veggies, and maybe goat cheese with it. Make like a bowl, like a Buddha bowl.
I like goat cheese.
Yeah.
Goat cheese is good.
It is good, and it's delicious, and that's an easy, healthy meal. So think about more plant-based. Anyone want to share plant-based sources of protein that they like, that they cook with?
I make pea soup and lentil soup, and I eat that by myself. I don't even want to share it, but I do cook it myself.
Awesome.
Very good. I like chili too. I do it with the turkey or the hamburger. It don't make me no difference because they can't touch my chili.
Yum.
So I eat beans like that. And then when I'm really super lazy, I like scrambled eggs with cheese, with them little crazy Campbell pork and beans. I don't eat that often, but them beans. I don't need no meat.
Okay. Yeah, with the eggs, it's an excellent source of protein. That sounds good.
Watch out for that stuff. Gotta watch out for potatoes though, kind of just away from them. I like potatoes, but potatoes don't like me, meaning you gotta be careful of all the carbohydrates and stuff.
Yeah, they're high on the glycemic index.
I was a jolly little girl last year. I ain't a jolly little girl this year.
Good for you.
Walking, just like you said. You know what? I'm not the type of person to walk around in a circle in the gym
Yeah.
or to walk down the street unless I'm talking to somebody. If I'm not talking to somebody, it ain't gonna happen. Because I said, I'm not a horse, so I'm not running nowhere. But what I found that worked for me, quiet as it's kept, and women don't think about it, walking around the big department stores, like Walgreens, BJ's, and anything big, you don't have to buy nothing. But because I can see people and I can see stuff and I can, I trot along.
Makes it more enjoyable.
Trust me, since October, I lost about 20 pounds just being nosy, walking
Good for
around.
you.
Okay,
That's
I gotta
awesome.
go weight. I got about 3 more pounds to go.
I think that's incredible.
And it took me a long time to get to that place because I never thought, how can I go out and get this walk in until last October. Someone said, just go out to the store, go get your walk in. And I go out a couple of times just for walking purpose. Then I go home.
So
Have
that,
my lunch or take a nap.
remember what I said just a few minutes ago? You have to find exercise that you enjoy and that you look forward to. I think that you have accomplished that, which I hope everyone can find some type of exercise that they can look forward to, that you can enjoy. Because if you find that, you are way more likely to stick with it and make it a part of your routine. That's great. Very, very good.
Now I gotta work on that strengthening.
Yeah, 2 days a week, head to the Y, do some type of, you can do a class, a strength training class. There's so many classes. Head to the gym. You could use the machines. There's a lot of options.
I have a silly question. Is housework considered exercise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have this watch here that tracks my exercise. If I am vacuuming or doing the dishes or all of that stuff, this will tell me I get a lot of steps in, my heart rate goes up. And when your heart rate is elevated for an extended period of time, that's good. That's considered exercise. Absolutely.
You measure that by that watch?
Yes, my Fitbit tells me a lot of great info.
I like to know what I do in a day.
Yeah, get a
'Cause
Fitbit.
I swear, I'm forgetful. You ever find yourself being forgetful? You go to do something. My forgetfulness causes me to go up a flight of stairs, come back down, go down a flight of stairs, come back up. I'm going up and down all day long. And I'll be saying to myself, I must be losing my mind. But if exercise and housework is, I'm gonna be a queen of that in a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should get a Fitbit to track that. So you still want to incorporate a couple of days of that strength training component because with the housework, you're getting a lot of cardio, you're getting steps in, but having 2 designated days where you are doing like body weight, muscle bearing exercising is very, very good for you, especially women, because we are more prone to things like osteoporosis and muscle loss, where doing these strength training exercises is a great prevention tool. It's just 2 days a week. You could do that. So that kind of leads me into our last tip here, which is community is key. And this doesn't really have much to do with nutrition, but I think it's really important to talk about because when we have a good support system, whether it's friends, family, a community that you're a part of, the outcomes for that, there's studies done on this saying that if you feel connected in some way or another, there are positive health outcomes. So I encourage you to go on a walk with a friend, head to the Y and do a group exercise class where you can enjoy the company of other people. Maybe you see the same people over and over, come to classes here at the Sweet House. There's lots of different ways to get involved in your community, and that is really important for your health. In the beginning, I said that when it comes to nutrition or healthy aging in general, there's so much more that goes into it than just nutrition. Exercise, yep, we know we got to exercise. Stress reduction, so important. Easier said than done to reduce our stress, but there are strategies out there. I think exercising is a great way to reduce stress. Perhaps it's calling a friend, maybe it's meditation, lots of different ways you can reduce stress, and that's really important for longevity and feeling our best. But with all of those aspects, I really do believe finding a community and feeling a part and involved with someone or something is really important. Do you guys have any questions on that? So there are a couple of other nutrients that I just wanted to point out. We talked about calcium, protein, vitamin D. We didn't really talk too much about, but vitamin D is a vitamin that a lot of people don't get enough of that live in our area because the sun is not out all year round. And we know vitamin D is really, really important. Last night was just reading a study about deficiency with vitamin D, and when people tend to be deficient and they're not getting a vitamin D through food sources or through a supplement, there may be an increased risk for certain diseases. So making sure anytime you go to your doctor and they do blood work, they can test your vitamin D. I would always make sure that you take a look at that. And if you are low, maybe consult with them about which type of supplement you can take. Your best bet is always to get that nutrient from food as opposed to a supplement, because your body's able to absorb the nutrition from food a whole lot better than from a supplement. Supplements are a good backup option, but if you can get vitamin D from food, which is eggs, eggs are very underrated. The egg yolk itself is a great source of vitamin D, and then the egg white is a great source of protein. Excellent source of vitamin D. What else? Fish, like salmon that we talked about, fish in the air fryer, leafy greens, and then there are some brands of orange juice that will be fortified with calcium and vitamin D. But vitamin D is one of the nutrients that sticks out to me as thinking about healthy aging. We want to make sure we're getting enough of that. Yes?
Here I go again. I do take from my doctor. Listen to you. I can say that you definitely need to be mindful of that, because one thing I realized that when we got into this pandemic business, we weren't going out. Like for me personally, I wasn't going out like I would have normally in my lifetime. And it did bring me to that place where I have to take vitamin D at least one day a week, other than what I get into my food. Yeah. So I'm hoping that climate changes, so that I can go back out and feel safe. Absolutely. Enough to enjoy natural.
Yes.
That's the one thing. It is very true.
Yeah.
That's a deficiency we shall suffer if we're not asking, like you said.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think, just like many other things, the science and the research on it is certainly still evolving, but it's looking pretty promising that being deficient in vitamin D can have negative health outcomes. So if we can be mindful of that, ideally get it through your food source. If you need to supplement, absolutely okay. Consult with your doctor about which supplement might be the best option for you, and that's a great thing to do. Yeah. So the nutrients, I would really keep an eye out. Vitamin D, calcium. Make sure you're getting those calcium-rich foods into your diet. Yogurt, cottage cheese, leafy greens. Leafy greens are just a powerhouse of nutrition. And those are really very, very important things in addition to these 5 tips that we have here. So what questions do you guys have for me? Those were my basic tips of nutrition and healthy aging. So now I'm going to open it up, see if you guys have any questions about nutrition in general, healthy aging, anything along those lines. No?
Don't let me have to ask you ladies how old you are and have to tell on myself. Aging. We're young and hot, but the best thing that I can think of that I don't know if they suffer from it, but like you mentioned it a little bit, fatigue. That's a major thing sometimes. I mean, your brain don't get, at least mine don't. My brain don't get old. My brain feels like I'm still thinking like I was in my 20s, 30s, whatever. But my body don't agree. So to be able to combat fatigue outside of the nutrition, what other ways? Yeah. To kind of, like I said, the exercise. Yeah. So I'm getting that from you today, so maybe that's the road to travel.
I think exercise is huge. I also think fresh air, getting outside, for even if it's just 15 minutes a day and getting fresh air, I think that just has so many benefits. But back to nutrition, I know we said outside nutrition, but if you're feeling that way consistently, I would maybe have a conversation with your doctor about maybe there are other nutrients that you're lacking. Sometimes B12, if you're not getting enough of B12, what B12 does is it converts the food that you're eating into energy. So if you're not getting enough of that, it can certainly affect your energy levels. But the best thing you can do, and it goes back to all these things that we talked about, is make sure you are getting a variety of foods. Because if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're eating dairy, you're eating whole grains, you're having your protein sources, you are most likely getting all of those nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients that your body needs in order to function best. Outside of that, I would say make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're managing your stress levels, outside for fresh air. That's, keeping it simple. That's a good question.
Sounds good.
Yeah, good.
How many times are you having this particular program? Is there another part to this or just this?
Just this, and I have a couple of recipes for you guys, but on this sheet here,
You guys are takeaway.
yes, I do. On this sheet here, it includes my email address, so I do offer one-on-one nutrition consults. So if that was something you wanted, a more personalized approach to your nutrition, then that's something we could set up there. But also be on the lookout for different presentations and talks that I'll have here. I think we're going to do a monthly one with all different topics. So if you have a suggestion for a topic, you could just email me and let me know. Last month we talked about, February was Heart Health Month, so we talked about eating for a healthy heart. Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. Definitely feel free to reach out here if you have any questions at all. I always have email on me, so if you have nutrition related questions, want to set up a time to chat, my contact information is here on the bottom. But other than that, you guys had great questions.